Hello, I'm Herrzog, and welcome back to the channel. So we're taking a break of staring really hard at imperialist Europe, and we'll take a look at a country that has no imperialist tendencies inside of it whatsoever. America. Okay, maybe some imperialist tendencies. America has a very specific type of nationalism to it, extremely different to the negative nationalism connotated to Europe. This nationalism mainly sprouts due to America's war score, which most Americans believe has no blemish to it whatsoever, but just like my social life, that idea is false. A little before the Napoleonic Wars ended, America declared war on Britain, and the general cause for that was that they were taking our sailors, but it's more complicated than that. And I'm too lazy to explain that, so I don't know, look up a video or something. America wanted Canada. This sort of punished the British, like some weird dog training thing. But America realized Britain was no one's bitch. When America invaded Canada through Michigan because they thought that those damn New Yorker Federalists would attack them, they thought the Canadians would welcome them. Well, why wouldn't they? They were under the control of a horrible crown. Well, the Canadians were fine under the British crown. It could be that the British defeat by the Americans in the American Revolution had an effect that was to give the colonies more rights. Or they could just be some soy boys, I don't really know. But the Canadians pushed us back, and they eventually reached Washington and proceeded to burn it. It's like if Queen Elizabeth's hat hopped off her head and proceeded to stab her in the chest. Plus, the only thing we got out of the war was Andrew Jackson, and we know what happened with him. So that really wasn't a win. But Americans thought it was a win. It's probably because the peace deal literally did nothing. The British wanted to set up a new country for the Native Americans, take northern Maine, demilitarize the Great Lakes, but none of that came to fruition due to the recent end of the Napoleonic Wars, and the peace treaty would seem hypocritical if Britain took land from America while disallowing Prussia and Russia to take any of the French lands. But enough with a history lesson. This is an alternate history channel, and I'm pretty sure you know what's coming. What if America won the War of 1812? To do this, we need to change a few things. First, when you make the American army more organized. During the war, they were not that organized, and that screwed them over when fighting the professional armies of Britain. We'll also make them start the attack from New York instead of Michigan so they can capture Montreal. And we can't forget the British Navy. So, in this timeline, John Adams' idea of building up the US Navy would still be going on. Not up to Britain's high standard of Navy, but enough to protect their waters. There is one thing that could really help Americans. The Napoleonic Wars to be extended. I'm not saying anything drastic, but maybe just the people fighting Napoleon are a slight bit more incompetent so the war goes on longer. This would probably start a ripple effect in Europe, but with a little bit of alternate history magic, will make everything essentially normal. We could also decrease the Canadian nationalism, essentially have the Canadians be more apathetic to the British. So when the war starts out, the Americans push their troops through Canada with little to no opposition. They seize important towns, and Britain, not wanting the Americans to join Napoleon, capitulate. Britain must formally end the impressment of American sailors, and he must cede all of Canada to America. This undoubtedly changes North America. First, let's start with the effects that'll be the same. America is a legitimate nation-state. They were legitimized after War of 1812 in our timeline when the British didn't outright annex them, and this legitimization would be even greater in this new timeline, with them beating the British twice. I doubt nothing drastic would happen to Britain, at least nothing too drastic. The civilians on mainland Britain wouldn't really care too much. Probably. They would hate King George III even more because of the second loss to the Americans, but nothing too drastic like overthrowing the monarchy. If I'm extremely incorrect about that statement, write me a letter and mail it to this address. Okay? Is it written? Good. Now let's get to the differences. So of course, with the addition of doubling US land once more, we obviously get multiple problems. For one, will these new territories be free or slave states? And let's just say, no. No, of course they won't. Slavery wasn't outright legal in Britain until 1833, but nobody really supported it for a while. In fact, I doubt the Civil War would even occur. I mean, when half of the US was slave states and no compromise can occur on the issue of slavery, that would be a problem. But with the addition of this new land, and northern ideas like industrialization coming more into favor with the new addition of that land, it would put to bed southern importance. So rip Liberia. It might even be the death of the Democratic Republican Party dominance. The Democratic-Republican Party was a fan of Jefferson's agrarian economy model with a new focus on farmland, but more importantly, it had more of a bias towards Southern sympathies, and that party had been in favor for a while. And it would be in favor for another 4 more presidencies, if you count Jackson's new shift into the Democratic Party. We would probably see the birth of a new party. Maybe not the Whig Party exactly, but a more streamlined and less chaotic version of it. Instead of just Mino-like Jackson, which somehow still prospers in current politics today, but focusing on northern industry. A sort of modern Hamiltonian model. Maybe even the Federalist Party comes back into power. But whatever that party is up to you. But we have to go to a topic that is a focus on any Makolo's eye. Quebec. What about those French guys? Well, they probably won't be too French for long. You see, Canada has sort of tried to coexist with the French, tried to make them both equal in their politics. But if you know anything about American history, we don't like to coexist. Far from it, actually. We could see the assimilation of Quebec into America. Essentially, the only specifically French thing we would see is the ethnicities of the Quebec area, sort of like the German Americans today. Manifest Destiny would be slightly altered. We would see the Americans move west, due to American nationalism being at an all-time high. We could even see American Manifest Destiny going even further. The Oregon Territory would probably be seen as American, because when Mexico becomes independent, the Spanish would lose their claim on the Oregon Territory. And with no British in North America, those Anglos would be declared American. Then in the Mexican America takes more land, probably just Baja California and Sonora. And then when the Spanish American War comes up, we could see America seize Cuba, as well as the other holdings. Hell, America might even join Japan in fighting Russia so we could take Alaska. That last one might seem far-fetched, but this is alternate history. The entire niche is stuff that didn't happen. I'm going to make a map of what I think America would look like around when every state is admitted. This may not be realistic, but I need to soothe my map boner somehow. You may be asking why there are no straight lines, and the answer to that is because I hate them. Write me a letter how bad this map is and send it to this address. Don't ask why it's different. America would also probably be more interventionist than politics. But when we talk politics, we have to go to a specific time in history that this channel keeps on floating to. I think that in this timeline, without peace deals with the Brits to sort out our differences, and the anti-French sentiment against Quebec, as well as the war against Russia for Alaska, we'll probably see America join the Central Powers. And most likely a Central Powers victory predecessing that, with America joining much sooner. If you want to see a Central Powers victory, watch my Kaiserreich video, but just mentally block out all mentions of Canada. And that's where I'll end this video. I know I took this in a drastic area, but that's the scenario I want to talk about. And there are thousands of other possible scenarios, so tell me what you think would have happened in the comment section below. Anyways, subscribe if you like the channel. Bye.
I have read a fiery gospel writ in burnished rows of steel. As ye deal with my contemners, so with you my grace shall deal. Let the hero born of woman crush the serpent with his heel, since God is martyred.